Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to For Collectors. For Collectors, my name is Sammy Thunder. In tonight's video, I will be discussing with you how you can become a baseball card show dealer. Now, I'm going to give you a quick disclaimer and say that please take my advice with a grain of salt because there are a variety of ways to do this. And I'm fairly new to being a dealer. Been doing it for maybe about 2 years. But I've picked up some things that I think I can definitely provide and share with y'all. But I do encourage other dealers that have been doing this far longer than me to share their strategies and concepts in terms of what they can do, what you can do to kind of get started. Um, my experience, has mostly, I for when I first got into the hobby, I was collecting and I would just buy and buy and buy. I wasn't really selling it all. I would just buy a lot of stuff for my collection, and like a hoarder, just kind of fulfill and hold things, and it would just be a huge, huge stack of stuff all over the place. And so, eventually, I trimmed down my collection, and I've been selling off a lot of stuff that I've had. Um, Now, what that does for me is it makes me separate my my full-time job and all the money that I have from that to go just for everyday living expenses. And being a part-time dealer at shows, I'm able to have funding for my collection, hobby dollars as I like to call it. And so being a dealer has granted me the opportunity. Now, being a dealer, it might seem like it doesn't take a lot of effort, but it takes a considerable amount of effort to maintain an inventory because things move and go as quickly as you get them. So first and foremost, the one thing about being a dealer at shows is all about the presentation. And so first thing you'll want to get is probably you want to get a display case or two. You might need some supplies like some boxes, some card boxes, count boxes. um, I have like plastic containers that I use. So you're gonna need to get supplies to transport your cards. Because let me tell you, when I first started doing this, I was literally taking it was like taking a box, binders, and just stacking them into a like, what do you call those? Like a wagon, like a cart. And it became tiresome so quickly, having to go back and forth into the car and grab a binder or two and then have to go back. So I will say this much. This is an example, but get yourself some containers. It will save you a lot of effort. So you probably need like some big containers for some, to kind of stack stuff in. I have 3 big tubs that I compile a lot of things in, and then a couple of smaller tubs to put some other cards in. And it's all about organization. So like I have one tub where I just put binders in. I have another tub that I put the count boxes in, and then a third tub, which is mostly just for supplies like sleeves and card savers, which um, team bags, higher valued cards, I kind of just stash in there as well. So supplies, that's an easy thing. And you can get those. They're not too expensive. You can find them on Amazon if your hardware store doesn't have any. But um, also, when you're at the show, presentation is everything. Like I mentioned before, display cases. Having a display case, I have one myself that I set up, and I put all my higher valued cards in there. So the high valued cards stay in there, and I organize it as such so that the presentation really shows some of the more premier players in the display case. So lately, what I've been doing is I've had a lot of my T206 cards kind of just in a pit in one particular spot, and then I have a lot of my like golden age players like Mays and Aaron, Clemente, kind of all take up a particular spot. And then I have a spot for all my raw star card. I had Nolan Ryan in there, Clemente again, Mays, mantles. So my display case is essentially for the higher value cards. I dedicate that for the higher valued stuff. Now for mid tiers, what I've been doing lately, and I change it up often, so I change it up a lot, is I separate. I pretty much have all my loot like singles organized by year. So it all depends if I have a 6 foot or an 8 foot table. That will determine how many cards I can lay out. So it's kind of it's a little bit. There's real estate is everything. So it takes a little bit of work to tweak it, but I'll start with I'll start with 50s and 60s, and I'll lay them out by year, and just make it easy on the eyes for people that are looking for particular players or particular years. It really makes it a lot easier to navigate instead of it just being all over the place and having singles and Hall of Famers just everywhere. So I organize it by year and I have it laid out one by one, and I don't leave any empty space. That's one thing about me. I do not like leaving empty space on the table. I want to try to consolidate it and make it look as neat as possible. So singles are laid out. Now the next thing is, so those like mid-tier cards range anywhere, probably. So for me, it's anywhere between $11 and all the way up to like 100, maybe a little bit more, depending on the circumstance of my display case. So 11 to $100 cards are laid out in singles, and then next to that is the big bin, that a big plastic bin of all my bargain bin cards, ranging anywhere between $1 and $10. Organize them in stacks. I don't like them leaving. I don't like them being a mess on the table. So I organize them in stacks inside the bin so that people can go in, go through, look at the cards, and everything is priced out accordingly. Now, next to that, we're going left to right, by the way, left side of the table to the right side of the table. The right side of the table, beyond that, we're going to have some 50 cent, 25 cents, and even 10 cents if space permits, some count boxes. And this is something I've been trying lately. I haven't really been doing a lot of 50 cent, 25 cent, 10 cent stuff, but it seems to have worked really, really nicely. I have a lot of people come by and they love buying. I do special deals. I do like three, for the 50 cent bin, I do three for $1. For the 25 cents, I do five for $1. And then for the 10 cents, I do 12 for $1. So it intrigues people to go in and start looking. So, and then finally, if I have the space permits, I have binders of some sets that I've been breaking. So I have them out for people to look through if they are set building. I don't have a lot of sets these days, but variety is everything. So to go through that, just to overview, presentation, high tier stuff in display cases, mid tier stuff stacked out in front, laid out nicely by year so you can easily go look at them and pick things up and put them back. Bargain bin box, $1 to $10. And then finally, the least expensive stuff is going to be in the count boxes. So everything is well structured, organized. Because the one thing I will say is, beyond your pricing, if your pricing is solid and you have good quality cards, they will practically sell themselves. They'll do, organization and structure and presentation is everything. A messy table where cards are all over the place makes it very difficult for anybody who wants to come to your table and buy something. The one thing that I don't like to do as a buyer, if I can't find something that I'm looking for, I'll ask, but generally speaking, I like to try to find things myself and to kind of see what there is. Might be foolish, might be silly, but again, just going back to the point, a clean table is everything, well organized and structured. It gives people the opportunity to find things on their own. And I think for me personally, I like to have the freedom to kind of just explore first and then ask after. So that's my 2 cents on the presentation aspect to it. In terms of being a dealer, the grind part of it is a lot of work. Finding the cards to replenish inventory takes a lot of time and effort, and I will say reputation is everything. So I've had a lot of great opportunities where I'm setting up at shows. I become friends with other dealers, and I become friends with repeated customers, get into great conversations, and that has ultimately led to opportunities. So what that means is I'll have a customer who buys something from me. They like the prices that I'm setting it fat and setting the cards at. And they'll say, hey, I have such and such. And I'll be like, oh, let's take a look. And a lot of times that turns into a buying opportunity. Now, outside of that, I have to dedicate time to go to shops, go to be in card shows, make deals with some of the other dealers there, and so it's a constant. There's a constant um, replenishment need at times to you have to find resources out there. So other dealers, becoming friends with other dealers gives you opportunities to buy at a good rate, and it helps both parties, myself and the other dealers. Going on the Facebook Marketplace, I found some great cards there. It's few and far between as far as where I'm from, but they exist. Craigslist is, it's there. It's not my favorite, but Craigslist is there. And but the key thing and the best thing is knowing which card shops to check out. I've gotten opportunities to replenish through card shops as well. Facebook groups online to buy, Discord groups that I belong to. I've made some purchases there. So, for example, I am in the need now to buy some more mid-tier stuff. My display case is filled, which is great. I mean, don't get me wrong, more is always nice, but right now, a lot of people have been buying the mid-tier stuff, and so I need to replenish that. Bargain bin box, $1 to $10 cards, and you could use some more there. So there's opportunities, and so great opportunity to make that happen is the Philly show, the County Center show. These are two shows that are coming up for me. So while there, I can go to some of the big time dealers that have great deals on some of these mid tier players and work out ways to replenish inventory that way for a fraction of the price that you would get anywhere else. So that to me is an opportunity to kind of structure some of the profits that I've made from selling and dedicate a portion of that for replenishment. So it's a constant. There's always a constant need to have to do that. So it's a grind, and there have been some great dealers that I've come across that have provided some great advice in terms of what to do and how to look for things. And so, card shows, card shops, Facebook Marketplace, Facebook groups, Net54. There's tons of resources out there that I use. Um, and so, for example, like I mentioned, Philly shows this weekend, I'll be purchasing some mid-tier cards, hoping to spend anywhere between $100 and $200 on, some good quality mid-tier players, some Hall of Famers that I can put down in the singles section in my bargain bin box, as well as my mid-tier setup of different players. So that's going to be a strategy of mine. Um, when I'm at the shows, what sort of I kind of say like do's and don'ts. So um, some things that I've learned is this is from B Roth. So Brian is somebody that I've talked to a lot. He's a dealer. He's been doing this far longer than I have, and he mentioned something to me. He mentioned something not to me personally, but something in general that I thought was really, yeah, it might seem like common sense, but I never really put two and two together with it until he mentioned it. But when you're setting up as a dealer, you end up getting into a rhythm of trying to make a profit, but also make deals for the customers, and it's tough to kind of handle the two situations because one side is we're trying to get it for cheap as possible, and you're trying to maximize your profits. So before I get into Brian's comment, um, let me just go out and say price your cards. Make sure your cards are priced. Price everything so that so everybody has a reference when they come up. So that being said, if I have something marked at $125 in my display case, and somebody comes up and said, "What is the best you can do for that?" Brian mentioned something which is to come back and say, well, make an offer because the price is there. There's a price there, and it's. I can say what I want, but I know what I want is $125. This is what I'm asking for. So Brian has mentioned, like, all right, instead of selling yourself short, which is what they want, ask them to make an offer and to see if there is a possibility of a deal being made. I think that's perfectly fair given the circumstance. You've already asked, given your asking price. So let's see if we can get close to a deal. I think I like that logic, and it's I think it's something that works. Um, so yeah, just wanted to mention that. Never, I don't think you should ever sell your card short, because you have a price that you're asking for, and if somebody asks what's the best you can do, um, see if there's an see ask for their offer in return, and go from there. Uh, I also think trying to befriend your neighboring dealers, very helpful. You can help each other out in different scenarios. You might have a customer come up to you that wants something you don't have. You can recommend the person next to you. Just builds relationships, and you're able to kind of just continue that, building your brand that way and your reputation. So it goes a long way. Um, Trying to think if there's anything else in particular. I'm sure there's going to be other things that might come up, and perhaps I might do a part two. But I wanted to share just a little bit of information in terms of what I do to keep this train rolling. So I hope it was a little bit. I hope it was helpful in some ways. I was able to help you visualize how I do things, and I'll be at Mount Kisco on Sunday, and hopefully this Saturday at Philly. If you're going, please, you'll see me wearing my stupid chest mount with my phone camera ready to record. So that's going to be a thing. But yeah, come by and say hello. I'll be there, hopefully finding something for the collection, and also replenishing as well. So a lot of fun things to look forward to. I'm really looking forward to it. Maybe an SGC drop off too. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching For Collectors. For Collectors, subscribe if you are new and you enjoyed this video, as well as watching John, Caesar, Theo, and myself. So take care. We'll see you on Sunday.